Anybody else want to speak?
Yes, I certainly would. Since Adam Feld and the sales tax proposal was already allowed in excess of 34 minutes at the last work session, why was he put ahead of Theresa and I on tonight's work session agenda? September 10th of 2013, there was an article in the Star Tribune, and it states, the $25 million sports complex, the Vadnais Heights Sports Center, that wasn't supposed to cost taxpayers money, has left the Minneapolis suburb on the hook for about a third of its annual budget, with a credit rating 12 levels lower than it was in July. Vadnais Heights, a city of 12,453, sold bonds through its Economic Development Authority to finance a 200,000 square foot sports center in 2010 with amenities such as ice rinks and soccer fields. It joins localities across the U.S. that have seen their credit ratings cut after failed bets on sports and industrial projects intended to spur growth. The Minnesota city, named after French-Canadian settlers, had its general obligation grades from Standard & Poor's and Moody's Investors Service cut to junk, from third best in the past 2 months after it opted to stop making appropriation payments for the sports complex debt following this year. By the end of 2012, disbursements may total about $2 million, compared with an annual budget of $4.9 million. The city agreed to finance the center because it would be, quote, a gateway to the community. Smaller economies are more vulnerable if such projects don't go as planned, since their communities are less diverse. It's important to note that Minnesota has seen numerous skate parks close over the last decade. Some of them are Brainerd, Burnsville, Hopkins, Cloquet, Rogers, Elk River, Lino Lakes, and probably more. Research shows that a poor location with a lack of visibility and supervision, vandalism, extreme maintenance demands, drug activity, and other crimes at skate parks have caused the closing of these parks. I sincerely hope the city of Little Falls considers another location with better visibility than the Mindow land north of town for the skate park. The following statement made by Bob Reinitz, current member of the Economic Development Association, otherwise known as Corporate Welfare Handouts Committee, and that's my terminology, is similar to the delusional statement that the Vadnais Heights Sports Complex was going to be the gateway to their community. This is Bob Reinitz's statement from last work session. I quote, "When I moved here 9 years ago, there's a lot of things that became obvious. We have a low-income area. We don't have so much businesses as we would like to have. I see the sales tax as a way to help change our image, if you will. We start putting infrastructure, it's going to be much easier to attract new businesses. It's going to be much easier for people like the hospital to hire. They've had problems with it. Families come along and say there's nothing to do here. We need for some of these things to be put in place. In terms of what it would do for us, I think I'm going to put it to you in one simple sentence. And I'm very confident that Camp Ripley Veteran State Trail is going to happen. When Brian Crowder asked the question, so the sales tax would help our trail system? Bob Reinitz answers, sure. It would help the city council to decide where that money is spent. It would be up to the city council to decide where that money is spent. We would have a designated for certain projects. We would have it designated for certain projects. I would like to alert the public that there is a student-organized free conference happening starting today through Thursday of this week at Atwood Center at the St. Cloud State University. It's titled The Conference on Peace, Social Justice, Environment, and Animals. They are going to have 40 speakers and films and a theater production. Some highlights of the program include programs pertaining to peace and the consequences of war, such as AFRICOM, the militarization and recolonization of Africa, sexual trauma in the United States military, the moral wounds of war, child soldiers in Liberia, the war on whistleblowers, the invisible war, women against military madness, speaking on drones 101, Middle East tensions, and a witness for peace speaker on drugs, guns, and United States policies in Mexico. There will be numerous programs and environmental and social justice programs, including Idle No More, and indigenous people struggle to save the earth, climate change and urgency of contamination around nuclear power plants, the consequences of extensive mining proposals in northern Minnesota, disability rights, the corporate funding, climate change deniers, the plight of migrant workers from Nepal, the business of sex trafficking, debating experiences of wearing the hijab, addressing mental health issues in India, and more sessions on racism, sexism, heterosexism, and what we can do to foster positive changes for a better world. Plus, programs about animals and the sixth mass extinction of species, including the amphibian extinction crisis, wolf endangerment, factory farming, the new ag-gag bills, criminalizing undercover investigations.
I'm sorry, your time is up.
Thank you very much, and Theresa has a statement that she would also like to make.
On Monday, September 23rd, the Mounds View City Council unanimously passed the Minnesota ASAP resolution, further connecting the dots between fiscal responsibility and shifting from wasteful Pentagon spending to meeting human economic needs here in the USA. During the council meeting, the speakers for the resolution included a public school teacher, a Lutheran pastor, and a Vietnam War veteran. To date, St. Paul, Minneapolis, Duluth, Rochester city councils have done the same, as well as over 100 Minnesota state legislators, a couple of members of the U.S. Congress, several county commissioners, a couple mayors, plus 120 plus churches, nonprofits, community groups, and college student groups across Minnesota. Soon, Minnesota ASAP will take the power it has built and approach the Minnesota State Legislature and Minnesota Congressional Delegation with a practical peace conversion plan so that we can shift from a militarized economy to one that rebuilds our nation here at home. Huge campaign contributions in the international placement of defense industry facilities in nearly every congressional district ensures the collaboration of elected officials. How much of this military spending is unnecessary? How much of the so-called war on terror is really about rationalizing defense industry profits and securing Middle East oil for Western corporations? U.S. foreign aid is also a form of corporate welfare because foreign countries are required to purchase American weapons systems in return for the aid. Egypt, for example, is required to spend $1.3 billion, or almost half the approximate $3 billion a year given to it in foreign aid, on American-made weapons, including crowd control weaponry their military uses to suppress the pro-democracy movement. This guarantees huge profits for private defense corporations. The enormous amount of resources and capital spent on sweetheart deals for private military corporations reduces our nation's ability to manufacture useful products, repair societal infrastructure, and produce sustainable jobs. As the cost of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan escalate, our levees and bridges are collapsing and millions of Americans are out of work. Federal government spending on defense is more than double that of education, science, transportation, and housing and urban development combined. Do the Pentagon and private defense corporations serve the American people, or do they serve one another at our expense? Thank you.
Anybody else want to speak? If not, we'll go on to first item of business, public access.